Yeah, well, it's been over
Call
90
this,
in Colorado.
Regular meeting of the city council to order. If you please join us in the pledge of allegiance led by Councilman Blair.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. We get started with councilman report. Councilman Allen, you have like to say this evening?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to share that I was able to participate at the library ribbon cutting, and that was a very special moment. It felt like such a community in there. I know that there are probably some other council members that felt the same way. And I just wanted to share some kind of specific feedback that I got. I have a friend who has a seventh grader, her son, who is autistic, and she said that it was very meaningful to her that she could use the family restroom at the new library. And that was something that I just wanted to share, that might not have been something that we, I just want to give kudos to the planner who put that in there, because I think it was definitely something that added a lot of value for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier.
It's been a while, but congratulations to the city for the 3rd of July event. It was another fantastic year. So building on the success of the first year, I know my family appreciated it. I think a lot of people in Litchfield and from the surrounding area appreciated it. So thank you. Thank you to staff. You had a very tight timeline with the library and all the improvements that were required. I know how hard that is to pull all that together. So you did a great job. So thank you, for getting that done on behalf of the city. And I want to, certainly recognize Avondale PD for the professionalism. There's been some incidents, this summer, including one recently. They're a very professional organization. I'm very proud that we have them in our city. I'm very proud to have them, on a lighter note, out at Litchfield Elementary School. So they're out there every morning. I'm one of the many parents that participate in that chaos of dropping their kids off, and having Avondale PD out there, especially at the beginning of the year, helping direct traffic and help us parents figure out what to do, because we forgot over the summer is a great help, and they're certainly appreciated.
Thank you. Councilman James, no report. Councilman Brandon Watson.
I have a good report as well. I also attended the grand opening. I came at that with a very different perspective, because that corner means a lot to our family. And so seeing it go full circle. For those of you who don't know, I grew up on the corner where CVS is now. That entire property was where our house and my dad's farm and everything that was important to him was. And change wasn't always easy. The road came in, cut us off from the park, destroyed the lifestyle that we loved so much. But in the end, the change has been positive. And to be in the library and see all of the historical nods, the chandelier, the mural, which I'd like to give kudos to Catitude Arts. I was one of the people who was kind of questioning whether or not they were going to actually follow through or not, but they did a great job, and it has a lot of the historical elements of the park that are so important. So, and then seeing the high school is marvelous. I have a son who would have benefited from it, and I know that looking down into the future, we will have generations of kids who are going to finally find where they belong and their people before they get out of high school. So that's really, really cool. I also attended the 3rd of July event. I went listening. I like to go to those things and eavesdrop. It's getting harder to do as my hearing is better than my listening, or my listening is better than my hearing. But I didn't hear a single negative from anybody. And usually there's someone who's belly achy. It was great. We attended the Coast Guard flag raising a week or so ago. Suzanne was there. Marvelous job with that. Went off flawlessly. It's amazing to think that we have retired Coast Guard members here who are willing to come and give their time for their country. And all of the guys were retired, you could tell by their age. And we don't have a Coast Guard facility really close to us here. Wonder why. But it was really good, really good. I also got the opportunity to attend a luncheon with Mayor Schoaf for the Southwest Valley Chamber of Commerce, and that was very nice. Well done. I had so much I wanted to say, so I wanted to take this moment to publicly congratulate our new members to the council and to welcome them. By now, everybody knows the results, and I'm perfectly fine with the result as it is. I'm ecstatic that the mayor and vice mayor were both re-elected. Everybody has a time and a place, and mine has been wonderful. I've appreciated everything I've done with this city and all of the work you all do. So that's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Clare.
I was at the ribbon cutting as well, and what a great experience, the library. I mean, just a step forward for the city and the Hilltop School to look at the faces as we were sitting there and the balloon drop. And it was pretty special to be able to see that, you know, how many people were going to be able to affect through time, and just to watch the kids in those faces. They wouldn't have been able to get that experience or have the ability of growing that way. Something I definitely want to talk about right now, though, is Yosha, you did a great job running the show, putting everything together, make sure we were where we needed to be. That was so appreciated. I also want to thank all the staff with these storms that we've been dealing with this last week. Everybody mobilized, everybody got engaged. Matthew and I were out pulling trees out of roads at 11 o'clock at night. It was just good to see the community come together, everybody working, the public works team coming in, WCA, and the amount of work they've done in just 3 days. I mean, kudos to everybody for making that come together. It was great effort to try and get the city back together as much as possible with as much as we lost.
Thank you, Councilman Clare. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I got a couple of things to add to what everybody else has said. The election is over, thank goodness. It was done in the primary. We don't have to go to the general, so we are done, hopefully seeing signs for a while. Elections at the county level, the state level, the federal level can be difficult, for lack of a better word, at times. Our elections in Litchfield Park were very cordial, very professional, and I want to thank everybody who's involved in the entire process. It's what makes our town special, to be able to go through this kind of process, to get together afterwards with our friends, with our neighbors, and move forward. So thank you everyone for what you did in the election. Special congratulations to Sarah Pearson, who was a top vote getter, Cody Conklin, the mayor, and myself. We're all going to be around starting next year. I was first appointed on the council in 2004. I ran for re-election 5 times. Every time I ran an election, I received the highest votes. And suddenly I got beat by 12 votes by Sarah, who worked it hard. And I congratulate her for that. I didn't do a lot. I decided to run solely on my record. I put up some signs, a couple of Facebook posts, and that was pretty much it. And the signs were old signs from old elections, so I didn't spend a penny. Figured if my record didn't stand, then so be it. It could be a win-win for both of us. I view the results of the election because there were significant differences in the structuring of the votes. And I view it as a reaffirmation that the mayor and I have proceeded down a path for many, many years that the citizens appreciate and wishes to continue in that same direction. Yeah, I think we've done a good job. It's always hard to to see the future. Hindsight's always 20/20. Yeah, I think as things have come together, it's worked out. It's very important to us to preserve our small town atmosphere and do it in the face of development pressures that are around us and within our city. And I think we've been able to handle that well. And I look forward to 4 more years, my last 4 years as a council member, and the mayor's last 4 years as a mayor, because we are term limited under the new charter. But we had some work to do in those 4 years, and then pass the wand. Different subject. City has been in the news the last week or two from a very sad family situation. I want to reaffirm to all of our citizens that Litchfield Park is a very safe community to live in. The council reviews the police and the fire reports every month. We have an excellent police department. Our police chief lives in Litchfield Park. We have an excellent fire department. Our deputy chief lives in Litchfield Park. The services that we get are excellent. We've increased our spending on public safety in the last, when did we hire the fire department? 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
15, probably.
15 years ago. We've concentrated on the safety of this community. And everything that we do includes an analysis of how is that going to affect our citizens? Is it going to affect safety? Is it going to increase safety? That's in all of our minds every time we look at any issue that comes before us. All of my children live here. All of my grandchildren live in this city. The safety is very, very important to me. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of high-profile cases, and they've happened within families and within their homes, where our public safety experts really can react only after the fact. Our hearts go out to those families. Fortunately, though, our streets are safe, our parks are safe, our city is one of the safest places in this state to reside. Please also remember that this increase in safety that we provide, it really only happens within our city boundaries. It's a difficult situation because we have an 85340 zip code that includes an area that is dozens and dozens and dozens of times bigger than this city is, but they all have the same address. But those areas outside the city boundaries do not get this increased level of services that we provide. And that's one of the reasons why we are so safe, because of that increased level of services. Finally, I'd like to ask staff, and I've mentioned this to Matthew before, I think it's important to our city that we have signage, markers that show where our boundaries actually are. Our staff gets calls all the time saying, hey, I live in Litchfield, and you got to tell them, no, you don't. And they say, yes, I do. My broker told me, and you got to tell them, no, they don't. And there's kind of push and pull and back and forth and some problems with the staff. I think it would be valuable to our citizens, valuable to us, for everybody to know where the boundaries are. And I'm not asking for some expensive monument, big, great thing. All I'm asking for is 1 or 2 poles in the ground and a sign that says, welcome to Litchfield Park. And maybe on the back of it says, leaving Litchfield Park, the city of Litchfield Park. So we can differentiate. I'd like to see maybe staff think about that, maybe figure out if that's going to be a big expense, if it's possible to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Just a couple of comments. Everybody mentioned about the library and the school. Those are really important. events for the city and for the Southwest Valley. For myself, it's been more than a decade that was spent working on the hilltop and trying to figure out how can the hilltop become a sustainable asset for the city and for the residents and for the Southwest Valley in the way that it used to be, given the fact that maintaining it is such a huge expense that literally when we first received it as a gift, if we had done a good job maintaining it, that's all we could have done as a city, period. It's a tremendous asset, but it carried tremendous responsibilities. And I am very excited that the library and the school and the theater and the museum are coming. The bandstand rehab project is coming. We're going to have a beautiful asset, and you can see it actually coming to life, and that's wonderful. The library already is busy, which is really, I was concerned, how many people would actually come to this brand new library, but it's busy, and that's exactly what we want to see. The opening of the school was tremendous. The kids that are in there they look like really good kids. They're excited about their new programming, things that they're going to be able to learn. So it's nothing but a win-win for our community. On a sad note, one of the things that was special about the library was being able to see it dedicated to the memory of Max Wilson. Max was tremendously important to the entire Southwest Valley, to the whole West Valley, really. He was probably the first major developer, other than maybe John F. Long, that actually developed communities out here and got life on the West Valley started. He put a lot into our community, and so the library actually was a very important project for him once he became supervisor. But it was really sad because his family was not able to participate in the opening because Max's wife Judith literally died a couple of days before the opening ceremony. So as a family, they were not able to participate, and I'm sorry for that. We are going to have the whole family at some point come over to the library and show them the plaque and talk to them about how important the family has been to the park. But I only wanted to mention it as being it was the one thing that was sad about that day of dedicating the library or opening the library. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the staff really is to be commended for getting the library and working with the Alma Priya School District to get the school done on time. When we agreed with Alma Priya that we would have this open by August the 3rd, I think it was, I wasn't convinced 100% that we would make it happen. But the staff worked very, very hard on it and did a tremendous job. They're trying to coordinate all these different governmental units together, all the different contractors, all the different engineering firms. It's tremendous that it was pulled off. And I'm proud to say that for the library came in on budget and on time, which is very unusual for a government project. So thank you to the staff. Also, I want to welcome, for those of you who got met, my son Matthew is here. He's from Chicago, and he just couldn't wait to come and see a council meeting. I can't understand why. I hope he enjoys it. With that, we'll go to the city manager's report. If anyone has questions for the city manager, you have his report in your packet.
Mr. Mayor, a couple of quick comments if you don't mind.
Okay.
As the mayor said, the report is in your pocket, what questions you may have. A lot of things that I was going to say have been said. It's been a very, very busy few weeks in the city, some good and some bad. So many things to say about staff and all the work that went in the library. I was there for the discussions, the debates, the stops in the hallways. Well, what about this? Why don't we try that? Will this work? So many pieces and thoughts and just giving of ourselves that went in this project. Make it what it was. And for me, that means a lot to me, and it was fun. Or for me, it wasn't. And I hope the staff that was involved thinks so too. And we'll talk about that more later this year. I would also like to thank the council for having the courage to move forward with the library project. Those of you that were here, it was contentious at times, but you had the courage to move ahead and do what you thought and what I think was best for the city. And that takes courage to do that. It really does. And for me, that we pulled it off, we got it done and it opened on time. You may remember when during the presentation, when I said the library would open August of this year, the audience actually laughed. But it happened. The school opened, the roundabout opened, the library opened, and I think it's just been a fun ride. Thank you so much for council and staff for everything that went into that.
I think that's when Randy's eyes started twitching.
They still are. And again, everyone did a great job, and thank you so much for all the work that went into that. And again, for the last week with everything that went on in the community with law enforcement, with a tragedy that happened, I don't know what else to say, but our prayers for the family, and thank you for the job that the police did. Also, this week with the storms, it's already been said, Councilmember Clara, thank you. I can honestly say I've never ran logging change with a council member before. We were out there pulling trees on the road at midnight, and I hope he had as much fun as I did. Yeah. So, and thank you to Public Grounds for all their work, and WCA, and for Brightview as well. It's been a very busy week for staff getting roads cleared, getting yards cleared. And I really think when you see the damage, when you see the trees, the cars, that no one was hurt. It really is amazing. And certainly thank you for that. One comment I would also say is that you may have noticed that our city attorney has changed his appearance for tonight. So Joe couldn't be with us because, of course, this is an off-night council meeting. So Michelle Stinson is here with us, and we're glad to have her. She's an attorney also with Pierce Coleman and normally represents the city of Youngtown. And thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate the warm welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
All right. Any other questions to the city manager? Get them to him directly. This takes us to the call of the community. We have one request to speak. This is an opportunity for citizens to speak with the council on a non-agenda item. We have a request to speak from Kelly Troyer-Bohm. Voting is yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor and Council. Thanks for all that you do, all of you. I know some of you personally, and I'm just thankful for our community. So my name is Kelly Troyer-Bohm, and I'm a resident here, and I live on Oro Vista. Like so many people in our community, I was heartbroken seeing the trees that we lost this week. And it made me think about something bigger than simply cleaning up after a storm at midnight. What do we want Litchfield Park to look like 25, 50, or even 100 years from now? One of the things that makes our community so special is our trees. When you drive down Old Litchfield, when you walk past Turtle Park, when you walk past the former library, the Wigwam, and throughout our neighborhoods, you immediately know you're in Litchfield Park. And that didn't happen accidentally. More than 100 years ago, when Paul Litchfield and architect L.G. Knipe were planning this community, landscaping was a big part of that vision. Those trees became part of the identity of Litchfield Park. So rather than simply mourning the trees we've lost, which I have cried walking around the park and seeing that, I'd love for us to use this moment as an opportunity. Could we create a Litchfield Park Legacy Tree Initiative? Maybe this becomes a partnership between the city, residents, businesses, civic organizations, and our historical society. People could sponsor trees. Families could plant trees in memory of or in honor of someone. Businesses could help fund them. We could identify historically appropriate trees and locations with the help of arborists and the city. And perhaps we establish a long-term goal that whenever significant trees are lost due to age, disease, or storms, we're already planning for the generation of trees that will replace them. Because the people who planted those trees a century ago weren't really only planting them for themselves. They were planting them for us. And I think we have an opportunity to do the same thing for families that will live here 25 years from now, 50 years from now, and 100 years from now. I'd be happy to help organize residents, businesses, or community partners if the city would be willing to explore this. Let's not just replace what we've lost. Let's continue what they started. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I don't know if you understand that with open meeting law, we're not really able to respond to your comment, but staff has heard the fact that you want to volunteer on something that's important. So you want to be careful. All right, with that, we're going to move on to the presentation section. The first presentation is the employee of the quarter. We have This is, you know, as I've said, every quarter I get to say this is one of the most important things that we do as a council and as a city is to recognize the employees that work for us. And we do this through a program where the employees, not the managers, but the employees that work along with each other, nominate each other every quarter for who has been the most beneficial to other staff or to residents. And this quarter, we are proud to announce that Stacy Federico won the award. She's here to accept it. We can clap for her. We used to give employees a gift certificate, but now we give them the best gift. We give them a day off. Thank you very much for your service. Okay, next item is we have some new employees, I think, who's Isa Adams Williams, who is our HR director, is going to introduce them to us. Introduce him to us.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. I'd like to introduce to you our new street superintendent, Ed Padron. Ed's going to say a few words.
Hello, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I have to be honest with you, this is the first time I've been in front of council and Mayor, Vice Mayor before, so excuse me. As Lisa said, I'm Ed Padron. I come to the city of Litchfield Park from the city of Scottsdale, where I served as the transportation and street operations manager. I have, excuse me, I have approximately 25 years as a public servant, 30 years in the pavement preservation and road construction industry. And I'm just thankful to be a part of the team. Thankful to be here, part of a member of the city of Litchfield Park.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank
Welcome
you.
aboard.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We appreciate your joining us.
Yes, sir.
Look forward to working with you on something that's very, very important to our residents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item we're going to cover is recognition of the ovarian cancer month that is being that's being recognized. I don't know if it's the month that we're in or the month, I guess it's the month that's coming up, September, is that correct? Okay. We have a representative from the she's an ovarian cancer survivor, Rachel Sackett Putnam. She's with us here by Zoom. She is here as an advocate for this program, for this awareness and for resolving this disease. And we're going to give her a proclamation. And here is the proclamation. Whereas ovarian cancer is the 5th leading cause of cancer-related death among women in the United States, and the American Cancer Society estimates that in 2026, approximately 21,010 women will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and 12,450 will die from the disease nationwide, including 510 new cases and 330 deaths in Arizona. Whereas a woman's lifetime risk of being diagnosed with ovarian cancer is about 1 in 91, and her lifetime risk of dying from the disease is approximately 1 in 143. Whereas due to vague, nonspecific symptoms and the absence of a reliable early detection test, the majority of women are diagnosed at stage 3 or later when the cancer has already spread beyond her ovaries. Whereas although the 5-year survival rate for stage 1 ovarian cancer exceeds 90%, only 15% of cases are diagnosed at this early stage. For those diagnosed in later stages, the 5-year survival rate drops to below 30%. Whereas while screening tools such as mammograms and pap tests exist for breast and cervical cancers, no equivalent screening test exists for ovarian cancer. making awareness of symptoms and risk factors essential for early intervention. Whereas increased public education about ovarian cancer can help save lives by promoting earlier diagnosis, supporting access to gynecological oncology care, and encouraging research funding for better detection and treatment options. Whereas during the month of September, the city of Litchfield Park joins survivors, families, healthcare professionals, advocacy organizations, and all those committed to raising awareness, remembering lives lost, and offering hope for a future with better outcomes and ultimately a cure. Now therefore, I, Thomas L. Shaw, Mayor of the City of Litchfield Park, Arizona, do hereby proclaim September 2026 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month and encourage all residents to participate in awareness activities, wear teal in support, and engage in conversations that help save lives and support the thousands of families affected by this devastating disease. Dated the 12th day of August, 2026. So Stacy, congratulations for surviving. I got that. I'm sorry, Rachel, congratulations for surviving, excuse me. We appreciate that you came to us and asked to recognize this month of awareness. And we hope the best for you and for all those who have ovarian cancer. I don't know if you have something you'd like to say. If you do, you're welcome to do that.
Thank you. I do. So my name is Rachel Sackett Putman, and I'm here as a stage 3 ovarian cancer survivor, thriver, and advocate, and a proud Arizona resident for the past 20 years. Thank you, Mayor and the council members of the City of Litchfield Park for recognizing September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month and for continuing to support this effort year after year. Arizona is where I built my adult life, my marriage, my career, and my survivorship. So receiving this proclamation from the City of Litchfield Park is so deeply meaningful. Ovarian cancer is one of the deadliest cancers affecting women, yet it remains one of the most underfunded and least understood. Over 21,000 women in the U.S. will be diagnosed this year, and more than 12,000 will lose their lives, which is about a 60% mortality rate. Most women are diagnosed at advanced stages because symptoms are vague, and there's still no reliable early detection test. For many of us, that lack of awareness is the difference between catching cancer early and fighting for our lives. I was diagnosed at 38 with a rare subtype called low-grade serous ovarian cancer, a chronic disease with no standard of care and an 85% recurrence rate. Like many women, I lost my ability to have biological children, dreams my husband and I hadn't yet fulfilled. And this year, I've suffered some very deep losses to this disease, losses that weigh heavily and remind me why awareness is so urgently needed. Every field light, every social media message, and every proclamation, including yours, helps someone recognize symptoms earlier and brings them much needed awareness to this insidious disease. It truly saves lives and honors those women lost far too soon. Thank you for standing with survivors, honoring the women we've lost, and helping to protect families across the City of Litchfield Park and the great state of Arizona. Your continued leadership makes a real and lasting difference. Together, we can shine a light on this gravely overlooked disease and give hope to the women and families who need it most.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, and congratulations on the re-election.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go forward in your mission.
Thank you so much.
This takes us to the next presentation. This is the next one that I can do in the order that I choose to do them in today. And that is to recognize the distinguished service, David Littleton. I was shocked when I heard that you had retired as a prosecutor. I can't remember a time in which you were not the city's prosecutor. In fact, I was asked by the city manager one day, how many years has David been our city prosecutor? And I tried to think back, and I don't know if it's because I'm old or if you've just been prosecutor for so long. I couldn't remember literally a time when you were not the prosecutor. Now, I'm sure there must have been a time, but do you recall how many years you've been prosecutor?
Well, I have to, going back through the law firm and whatnot, we have a variety of associates coming through. I mean, depending on their level of expertise, some of them were acting as assistant prosecutors. Other times when no one was available, it fell upon me to take care of that. So I don't know exactly. I know for at least the last maybe 7 years, it's been me, but going back, you know, there's different times. So it's been a long time.
It has been a long time. And we appreciate your service. As prosecutor, we have this plaque for you. We also have to recognize that, and in addition to being our prosecutor, you have served on our planning and zoning and our design review board and so many other things within the cities, David. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The final comment. It's been my privilege, well, to live in this city. I first saw it, I was working for a law firm in Glendale. My boss had a membership at the Wigwam. And as part of his membership, he had to spend a certain amount of money every year. Well, he didn't want to spend, he just wanted to come out 2 days a week and play golf. So right about the week before Christmas every year, he'd round up the entire firm, take us to lunch over at what is now Red's. And that was the first time I ever saw it. I never heard of it, didn't know anything about it. Then we went from there, and then eventually I ended up where I ended up. But it is a very unique place. You don't find this anywhere else. And like I've been here a long time. I told my wife when I moved here, I think we were trying to add that up. I believe it was 29 years ago, but I wouldn't bet money on it. But seeing all the trees going down, you know, it's the problem we all face. You have Palourey trees. They're a beautiful tree when everything is going well. But they don't do well if they're overloaded with water and wind like we've seen. And then you have 50-year-old trees, you know, like the one by Ribbons there that are down. It's just really unfortunate that as we go forward, everybody's in favor of keeping it green. So that would be my final comments. But thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity to serve.
Thank you very much for your service.
I'll make a couple of comments.
Yeah, a couple of comments. Dave and I were law partners for more than 40 years. And longer than, as I mentioned, at a Chamber of Commerce function one time, longer than any woman has put up with either one of us. And Dave has prosecuted or been responsible for prosecuting or supervising prosecution since this city was incorporated. And that's been a while ago. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it's gonna take us now to the presentation by our city engineer about pavement treatment. Oh, processes.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Before I hand the reins over completely to Ed, I'll leave on one last note with the presentation you're about to hear. Collaborated with Ed on this presentation so we can get the information right. Want to give a high level overview of pavement management program treatments. What is pavement management, types of failures, causes of failures, condition evaluations, the applications that we do throughout the city and where we've done in other cities, appropriate treatments for different types of failures, and then costs. So pavement management and preservation, it's program methods for collecting and using, storing data. I want to create these different steps on what to do with the data, historical data, new technologies, employ the maintenance, preventive maintenance, and minor rehabilitation treatments throughout the year, and just keeping good roads in good condition, because I'll show you in a little bit that there's a chart that kind of summarizes it all. We want to keep good roads in good condition, and they aren't as expensive to rehab. And typically what we do is low cost, low impact to the environment, but
Anybody that's seen a road be reconstructed, that's the occasional remediation that we have to do, and we did a little bit of that this year. So this chart I've used in other presentations in my career. The white line is, if you just built a segment of road and just kind of left it, over a period of time, it's just going to degrade and go down again, down as time goes on. The turquoise and the pink line, every time we do a pavement treatment that's relative to the type of condition that it has, bumps it back up into a different category. The smaller jumps are things like slurry and smaller treatments. Bigger jumps you see to the far right might be a mill and overlay or a heavier slurry type treatment. What our goal is to never cross the midpoint, which is the yellow line. When we get to that point, we have to look at it at a different angle. That's where we start doing things like taking the asphalt out or rejuvenating the top layer of the asphalt with a new coat. I don't have to go over this whole list. This is just the types of failures. I mean, this list is probably twice as long as what I could fit on this page. What we did is some common failures that we have here in the city, especially in Arizona. Alligator cracking, block cracking, it's like squares, depressions, which are ruts in the asphalt, joint reflection cracking, longitudinal down the middle of the street. I highlighted oxidation and raveling. We'll go over that. Those are the most common types of degradations that we see here in the city. Everybody knows what pothole is. They rear their ugly heads all the time. And then the transverse cracking. So I added a couple of pictures kind of put in perspective. Raveling is when the top coat, top cream of the asphalt wears away, the aggregates and the binders starts coming off the top. In reality, what happens the first stage is the oxidation. So we start losing the binder and then it gets down, you got a rough road. Alligator cracking. So the picture on the right is actually Camelback Road. I get a lot of questions on why does Camelback Road have alligator cracking? And then alligator cracking in its basis of definition is a subgrade failure. So anybody that's driven on Camelback Road, it does have a lot of lines, a lot of cracks that we filled. And when I say we, I mean McDOT, because that was their road. But it doesn't have failures. It's really good subgrades. So I added the picture on the left. You can see that what's happening is water gets in there, changes in temperature, and we start actually losing drivability, and the roughness starts really getting in. The top corner of that picture is actually the asphalt starting to move. So once water gets into these positions in the asphalt, you start getting a lot of different kinds of failures that we'll go over here. Took some pictures and some other stuff I had in my archives, various cracking. We see these throughout the various cities. Block cracking, the result of, it's mostly traffic related, whether it's too much traffic or not enough traffic. We're always trying to find that midpoint on what is the road use when they first design it, what is the road going to be used for? We design it for that type of traffic, that whether it's heavy trucks, light trucks, cars down the local streets. But in block cracking, which is what we just saw, I just showed the picture in Camelback, the heavy trucks, it was meant for trucks, but not heavy trucks like we're seeing all the time. That Camelback Road has many types of these failures. Transverse cracking mostly has to do with temperature changes, and we see a lot of that in our local streets. We see a lot of it in Goodyear. What happens is it's different changes in temperature, and asphalt's a flexible pavement design, so it moves in chunks, kind of like a slow moving iceberg. When it does crack, it moves and then it goes and then it widens back when it gets hot again, and the crack either moves, gets bigger, or it starts doing lateral shifts. Longitudinal cracking, we see a lot of that down the middle of the road. So, when they build a street, they can only make the asphalt hopper, 12 feet max. So it's about a lane at a time. So when they actually build any street, they kind of put two seams together and then they roll it and they try to do their best. But what happens is a crack will show. One of the reasons why we wanted to shut down the roundabout a couple week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks now, was to try to avoid this. So when we got permission from council to close the roundabout and put the entire surface course all in one lift, we didn't have any what's called a cold joint. So we don't have as big of a worry to ever see any longitudinal transverse cracks in our surface course. So we're going to have a good product for a long time. And then of course, potholes on the right. You get a pinhole, small hole, it rains, the fines start coming out, the rocks stay behind, it dries out. more traffic comes, kicks more fines, then all of a sudden that pothole just starts growing and growing. And then reflective cracking, I just have a picture here that shows a square, but it can be in any shape. What that usually is a result of is when you put a bad subgrade down or a bad base course, you put a surface course over the top of it, and then over a period of time with that thermal expansion, the cracks show. We actually had a problem on Florence. We mill and overlaid it in 23. Great surface course, but 1 year later, because we didn't go all the way down to the bottom course and take it out and put it back in, we have some reflective cracking. So that'll have to be addressed in the next pavement effort. I mentioned this earlier, rutting and heaving. That's a picture that kind of just puts in perspective around Camelback Road and areas a little bit further to the east. We don't really have huge rutting along our frontages and our arterial streets. But what rutting and heaving is caused from, there's a lot of reasons why it happens, but what I see is when it's a bad surface course, when it's got a lot of oil, when it wasn't put down right. Our temperatures get to 120 degrees, got heavy trucks going through here, and then it just creates those tracks. A benefit to any arterials that have a pretty good mix of passenger vehicles is they kind of iron it out. So that's why I believe Camelback Road doesn't have such a bad rutting problem, is because we have a really good mix of vehicles. But the reason that the rutting happens is because we have heavy trucks. And then depressions, those are usually localized. Sometimes we've seen them longer stretches. Usually when there's like a sinkhole, a void, if a contractor put the subgrade down and there was maybe a root ball or some branches and they, degrade and then the fines fall through, it starts to have depressions. We see a lot of those in parking lots. So general causes of failures, big list. Biggest things I see, weather, the biggest failure we have here in the valley is the oxidizing and the raveling. And the weather is the first star. That UV rays just degrade that top layer of the binder. Construction techniques sometimes fall short. Traffic volumes, I mentioned that before. We have a lot of truck traffic on Camelback Road. It really wasn't meant for that amount of volume of truck traffic. Lots of other things. Age of the binder. So after a certain amount of time, even though asphalt is a flexible pavement, the binder does become brittle. I mean, you can get 5, 10, 15 years. It depends on the mix that went down and how it was put down. You always hope that when we do asphalt, we get the tests done and we get the lab results and we make sure it's a good mix. So up on the hilltop, we have Nesbitt and Hayden doing a lot of testing of those asphalt base courses and surface courses. And I'm checking them. We actually do have an issue with one of the pieces of asphalt that we're working on right now with Hayden in the parking lot. So we have high void content. So we're going to possibly see pavement fatigue a little sooner than we'd like. The answer to that is either have them fully take it out, or we're going to put type 2 microseal over the top of it. And then there was another section that we were talking about, that friction course was another alternative. So we're going back at them to make sure that the asphalt's going to be in good shape. And then subgrade, subgrade and asphalt, the gradations of thickness of the design of the actual structural section, those are engineered pieces of an asphalt section. So from the ground up, we make sure that it's qualified personnel doing those designs and they go through the proper reviews and that they're applicable to what they're, you don't want to put a localized street section to replace a portion of Camelback Road and vice versa. So pavement condition evaluation, I'm not going to read everything. You got PCI index, you got automated distress surveys. The PACER evaluation is a smaller scale, it's 1 to 10. And then the PSI rating is 0 to 5. So these bottom two, the PACER and the PSI, I don't really do a lot of those. I don't know if you've done any of those in Scottsdale. Usually those are just kind of a quick attack. That's how I kind of define it, is because the scale is only 1 to 10 or 0 to 5. The PCI index is an evaluation from 0 to 100, and it was developed over a long period of time. What you do is you do an evaluation of a street and you determine what kind of failure it is. And a lot of times, especially in older streets, there's multiple types of failures. You have transverse cracking, oxidation, rutting, raveling. So every time there is a failure identified within the area you're looking at,
you start subtracting numbers from it. And so we start getting into numbers that are falling below 100 into the range, if you remember the graph I showed you earlier. And then the automated distress survey. So that's something Ed and I were talking about. Ed did a lot of that in Scottsdale. We're going to propose to do that here in Litchfield Park. But essentially, it's having these companies that specialize in pavement condition evaluations. It'd be good for us to start with the streets department to have a good baseline of our street conditions, and having consultants that specify in doing that kind of work is a very good approach to having that baseline number. So PCI index, the target is 70 to 85. I think that's generally a good range in the valley. We all kind of, I say we, but the cities, and when I was a consultant, always kind of determined what a good rating was. And that's how a lot of cities develop their program, is to try to get their street sections into these ranges. And there's a direct dollar relation to that. So that's why it has such a big impact on it. So it prioritizes street segments based on whatever the funding is and their rating. And like I mentioned before, multiple different types of distresses, it starts subtracting more numbers off. And then the fourth bullet is very important because the historical data. I went back, as part of doing this, I went back and looked at a lot of our historical treatments. And in the early 2000s, we actually did a lot of chip seal. It's not something I would have guessed that we would have done in local streets in a city, because usually chip seal is something you do in more of a rural area. I grew up in Jackrabbit and Camelback, and we had dirt roads until the county came in and gave us chip seal. We thought it was the greatest day in the world. But we did a lot of chip seal around here, so it makes a lot of sense on some of the fatigue and stresses and failures that we're seeing on some of these local streets, because we'll start off with a smaller section, and then when you go out there and actually look at it, it's huge, because it's got all these miniature layers of different kinds of asphalt rejuvenation. And that can contribute to failures too, because it's not a homogeneous one single type of material, and all the pieces are working against each other. Just one important perspective, I got another slide, but you can see a nice shiny new road in the top left. The PCI of 90 is not that bad. You just start seeing some little oxidation. Look at and then sorry about the pictures are a little light, but in the middle left one, you can start seeing that there's some raveling. If you zoom in on the picture on my computer, I can see there's little rocks. And then to the far right, PCI 60, you're starting to get some hairline cracks and some edge rutting. And then obviously in the bottom two, you can really see those cracks. And every year that we do some sort of pavement replacement, we have streets hovering in the neighborhood of somewhere between the low number and up to 40. Another picture with high level. See the top left again, that shiny road, and then the bottom right. I think that was actually a parking lot. So pavement is a flexible material. It really predicates on if it gets used or doesn't get used, because parking lots, cul-de-sacs, streets that actually don't get traffic, their PCI ratings do go down tremendously. So wanted to just go over, some applications. We've got asphalt, we've got overlay, we've got full depth, we've got patch repairs, chip seal, crack seal. A couple of pictures just to put it in perspective for everybody. Crack seal, of course, we did a lot of that this last round, and as well as type 2 micro seal. So anytime we do a seal of any kind, whether it's micro seal, a PMM, or there's various other kind of seals, we're going to do a crack seal first. Moving forward, so primarily we do crack seal. Almost every time you do micro seal, you want to do crack seal. If you do micro seal and don't do crack seal, things start falling. I know we had a big effort where we put a lot of PMM down, which we have a picture from the right there, and we didn't do a lot of crack seal. I know that was a lot of feedback got from the constituents and members of council. So I went back and I was talking to Ed, and I just want to make sure I wasn't going crazy, because a lot of times and a lot of cities don't put a treatment down before PMM. We do a lot of that. We did about half and half. So we did do a lot of streets this year with just PMM. We also wanted to get it rejuvenated for the next rounds, the next few years. So some of these streets where we put PMM down, we're going to either do some sort of overlay or a thicker coat like a microseal. So we're kind of prepping the street for a future effort, all while rejuvenating the oxidized street and the raveling, want to keep the pebbles down. The slurry seal fog coat's not you don't really want to do a lot of that. It doesn't give you many years. You see a lot of fog coats on parking lots. That's a cheap quickie. It gets you maybe 2 years before that top coat's like oxidizing. Fog coat's not a big thing that you see on the streets. Everybody knows pothole and patching. HDMB, high density mineral bond, one of my favorite applications. I know Ed likes it a lot. We did that on the village before I was in here. Woody did that. Previous city engineer did that HA5. I got to tell you, that stuff is still in really good shape today. The downside to it is it's slippery. It's a really quick way. You lose friction. I know the previous one of the previous public works directors, I think, was riding a motorcycle during a rain and slipped out. Came back and said, "I'm never doing HA5 again." As a story I heard, so it's been off the radar for a little while, but bang for the buck. It does cost a little bit. It's pretty proprietary. I think Holbrook Asphalt does it, and a couple of people do it, so you have to schedule with them and have them come in. But the amount of times I put that stuff down and the way the streets look these days, that might be a really good investment option on some of these streets that we want to keep, that are good streets. We want to keep in good condition, because you can't put HA5 on anything that's lower than, I think, the 60 or 7 on the rating. Like I said, chip seal, it's still prevalent. Cape seal is the same thing as chip seal. Just put another layer of asphalt, bitumen, tar on top. We won't be doing that around here, so don't worry about that. Very loud. Asphalt overlay, for the most part, we don't do a lot of asphalt overlay unless we mill first. So take a 1.5 inch or more off and put the same thickness down. I know that when I did a lot of pavement management for the city of Glendale, they wanted to take 1 inch off and put 2 inches back on. And so, and did a lot of streets for some reason, and we did some cores, and you could see that that's just their preference. They had some drainage issues, and if we had drainage issues in the same way, we're gonna have a crown street. That's an option we can look at without tearing the whole street out, or just add on to it. And then, of course, full depth removal and reconstruction. We did that on a few streets. We're going to do that on another street coming up here at the end of August. Something that we don't see very lot, I just want to throw up on here is cold in place recycled asphalt and hot in place recycled asphalt. I don't know, Ed, did you do a lot of that in Scottsdale? It's a very cost effective way to get large sections of street. So if we want to just rejuvenate all of Litchfield Park, all of Camelback, or all of Wigwam in one shot, what happens is that it's all one operation. The truck in the front is dropping off oil, the milling machine dumps it in there, mixes it. The blade picture that you see, it's all based on rotations and how fast it goes, on how the aggregate is broken up. They inject the emulsion and then it comes out new asphalt. So they're recycling the asphalt in place and they're rolling it. So this asphalt that you see here just got, chewed up here. So that is something to consider when we want to go after funds for doing Camelback Road. And then FDR's full depth reclamation. So this asphalt section here takes off the top coat. Full depth reclamation gets all the way down to the asphalt and the subgrade. It actually mixes the AB and the pulverized asphalt and makes it all new asphalt. So just really quick, wanted to go over a couple of failures in their treatment. So raveling oxidation, want to do slurries, PMNs, microseals, HMB, mill and overlay when it's a bad enough situation. When you have real alligator cracking, it's full depth replacement. So when we start looking at asphalt and we give the PCI rating, we're going to give it a really low score, because that when the rock or when the chunks of asphalt start really coming apart and raveling like that, there's no rejuvenating. Various longitudinal cracks, block, transverse, reflective. We do a lot of crack seal, slurry, PM. That's the majority of what we did this last effort. Some situations where you have big cracks, which we saw in a few locations, we have a mill and overlay that has to go down to full depth and they have to bring in fresh asphalt. Bottles, again, tear the whole thing out. We did 15 of them on Camelback Road a couple months ago. Just had big holes after a lot of use. And so we had a contractor come out after we did the mill and overlay of Dysart, and they filled 15 spots just because potholes just get worse, they don't get any better. I did not do that at the presentation, so I'm just surprised. Edge cracking or edge failure, that's actually a picture from here in the city that was rejuvenated and before I got here. But the answer to that is you either mill it all out or take the whole asphalt out. And the culprit is water infiltration. And the reason why I show that picture is because we do have a very green city. And you have a lot of situations where that does happen. So these next couple of years, we'll be looking at some of these edge failures and trying to repair them. You see a lot of that up in the areas where, you know, Villanueva, Acacia, all that area up there has quite a few locations. Similarly, with these type of failures, full depth replacement, if you do have a really good section on these rattling and heaving areas, we can't just shave them off. More often than not, you got to go deep. And that's again another reference of what I think we're gonna have to do for Camelback Road when that time does come. I got to the last slide. This is a cost kind of evaluation of the last couple of years. I went back to 2006. So I was very surprised at how close some of the unit prices came. And actually some of them haven't gone up very much and some has gone down. Now, the unit price of the first bullet here depends heavily on your square footage. I can tell you in 2006, we didn't do a lot. And in 2023, we did a decent amount. 2026, we did more than all of those combined. Lifespan of, you know, we got 15 to 20 years out of it. And we do a mill and overlay. You can see that the unit price is more expensive. It's worth it if you can keep up with the rejuvenation. So like we did Maya Tainter and yeah. We did that 2-3 years ago, and the next effort we're going to put a PMM layer. So that's a brand new asphalt. There's no block crack and no cracks at all. We're going to rejuvenate it for a few dollars a square yard, and that asphalt's going to be good for the next 25 years. So that's it. Hope everybody enjoyed my last speech until it lands over to Ed. So, are there any questions, concerns?
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Did you say a couple of our streets are double layer chip seal?
Multiple layers from what I can tell from looking at old PMP reports.
But they started out as chip seal.
I think they were rejuvenating the chip seal. I can't find a lot of information that the original asphalt is. I do have some pictures from the 60s. It's, you know, black asphalt going down. I don't know how thick it is or what kind of gradation, but there was a big push actually in 2006 area where crack seal was the rejuvenation level that went down. And I think it was more that Cape seal where you put binder down, drop the rocks, and another binder. And most people wouldn't even know that it is a chip seal.
Is the mill and overlay the one where they take the old one up and it's all done in one process?
Councilmember, the mill and overlay. So there's the mill and overlay, mill and replace. The mill and overlay, they'll take off about 1.5 inches and then put 1.5 inches back down. The cold in place recycling is when they take it all out, mix it, and then inject the hot or the cold asphalt and then put it back down right behind it.
Where does that fall cost wise in this?
We have never done that. So I have done it before, and the costs are comparable to the mill and overlay.
And is it something that can be driven on 8 hours later, or?
Yeah, it's just like hot asphalt. We're about to do Cascada, and they'll have an overnight closure, but in all reality, once they put it down and the temperature goes down to below, what does that be? 160, 170, I think. Once it's below that temperature, you can open it to traffic. So when the cold in place recycling, if we do that on Camelback Road, it'll actually go pretty quick because it's not a hot injection of bitumen. It's the hot in place that they have it really heated up and they have a fire going and they really cook it when they put it down.
And last question. Several years ago, ADOT rubberized the freeway. Do you remember I-10 getting rubberized? What is that process? And is that something we should consider maybe for Camelback Road?
Councilmember, that is definitely always an option. There's been a lot of and ADOT only went rubberized forever. Whenever I did a freeway design, you had to put that on. The last couple of years before I came here, it was always, we want to do a high traffic, super paved, regular asphalt, like 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch. The reason why is because it's gonna cost a little bit more to put it down. The problem with ARACFC and the rubberized asphalt is there's no rejuvenation. So once you can't just slurry it. So in 2 to 5 years, when the asphalt wears and the sun oxidizes it and you get all the stuff in your gutters, you'll have like the top of a Rice Krispie treat. That's how I like to tell everybody. And then it's a little rough. And so I think that's actually what they had on Camelback Road. And it's kind of got the remnants of it. The only thing you can do is mill it out and put new asphalt down. A lot of the reason why we do ARs, the rubberized asphalt, is for noise. And the new 3/4 inch and 1/2 inch mixes, there's EVAC mixes, there's City of Phoenix mixes, and there's MAG mixes. There's all lots of other mixes. But the new mixes now have decibel levels that are very comparable to rubberized asphalt, and they can be rejuvenated.
Thank you. Ed, first of all, welcome to the city. I'm so glad that you joined us. We, I think, are in need of a street superintendent, so glad to welcome you to the team. Keith, as far as the pavement management plan and the pavement condition evaluation, can you take us through how, on an annual basis, this looks to make sure that all of our streets receive treatments every 5 to 10 years? What can our residents expect every year from us?
Well, thank you, Councilman Allen. So in the past, what we do is glamorizing it by calling the windshield inspection, but I actually get out of the truck when I look at the streets. So there is an actual physical evaluation at each street. When a street has a section that might all be the same type of failure, if you have to do a lot of crack seal, you isolate it by, a 40 or 50-foot section by the width, and you evaluate that street. And then you can choose to do more or less. So we do that on every single street section. And when I say each street section, it's between each block. So if you have all of, Wigwam, it's going to be Litchfield to Wigwam to Desert to Old Litchfield, all the way down. And we do that with every street. So we do an actual evaluation. We do an evaluation of the historical information, whether it got slurry sealed or micro sealed, and that plays into the PCI index. We give it a numerical evaluation, and there's a small equation that you can do depending on if there's multiple failures. So what we do with that information each year is we have obviously what it's graded, whether the street's got a 60 or a 40 or an 80 or 90. If it has high numbers, it's deprioritized compared to the lower number ones. If we have a large number of, say, 40 or under, like we actually do have a few of those streets, we can either elect to only do removal and replacement of that piece of those pieces of asphalt and not do any slurry seal or crack seal or micro seal or PMM, or we break it up like we did this last year. We break it up and we do a complete removal and replacement of one street for whatever the cost of, and then we can get another 100 street sections done with a combination of slurry or micro seal or crack seal. So there is a detailed evaluation on how we can manage the funding, because we can either do all of one kind and catch up in that way over a period of time, or we can give a little attention to each street and raise the numbers over a slower period of time and then have a good baseline, which is what it has been. That's been the approach for the last, from what I can tell, and my predecessor, that was his approach, and we carry that on. That is a discussion that Ed and I had, is what is our future approach? And I did mention that I think what our attack is going to be is we want to come up with a baseline evaluation for each street starting day one. And that's where we're going to have the streets super, who has done a lot of that stuff, millions and millions of miles, I hear. So we're going to take the historical information, but we're just going to use that as a reference in our new base. Once we have the baseline of all the streets, we're going to prioritize based on the available funding. And I've had discussions with the city manager. I think this year we have $1 million. I think we have 600,000 in HERF, and we have 400,000 in capital contingency or general fund. So for $1 million, you can either do 150 slurry sections, or you can do a couple of R&Rs and, maybe 40 or 50 slurry NPM. So what we're going to do is see where we're at in the baseline and how that needs to apply to all the street sections. So we are going to go through a detailed analysis. I don't have the exact breakup right now because we just got done through the whole effort and spent 1.4 million, 3, 1.4. And I think we got 140 street sections, so which is one of the biggest pushes we've had in a long time. So we have a really good baseline now of historical information that we can springboard off of.
Questions, Councilman Clary?
First, thank you for putting this together. A lot of data. I feel like I just sat in on a school class. There's a reason I'm a dumb mover and not an engineer. Love seeing that we've got a plan going forward and that we got Ed on board to help you manage this and have it go forward. And I'm really excited to see how we can take it and elevate everything that we're doing. We've talked about that for a long time. I'd love to see us take the opportunity to project 3, 5, 10 years and be able to budget so that if we see that we're having failures in areas, that we can ask for budget in advance so that we can plan for it and not be reactive to things that are not getting done or they got skipped and have different issues. So that's it. I would love for you to ask you to, as you're evaluating with Keith, what we're doing to look forward and to see, okay, this is good for now, but in 3 years, we need this in this space. So we can get city leadership to be able to give us real budget numbers to plan for so we can get these roads where they need to be and not have to wait a full 10-year cycle to get everything that's there. But Keith, thank you for this. I know it's been a hard push this last little bit and appreciate the effort. Concert.
Always fun. I love playing in asphalt.
All right, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate your input. All right, that takes us to our next item. The presentation section, which is a presentation. Ms. Peterson as the 2026 GFOAZ, is it, I guess, Government Financial Officer AZ Finance Excellence Award, which I think is going to be presented by the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and council, we want to take this time to recognize Paige for that she has received this award. So annually, there are 20 nominations for this award, and there are 2 that are selected, and she was one of the 2 for this year. To me, one of the biggest honors for Paige for this, if she doesn't mind me saying this, is that who this nomination came from, and then it came from her own employees. And that says something for her, for what they think of her and her working relationship with her. And as you guys know, it's been said in many council meetings, Paige does a great job as assistant city manager, but also as finance director. Paige keeps our numbers where they need to be and lets us know when they're not where they need to be. And she does a fantastic job and makes my life a whole lot easier. And I think she very much deserves this award. And I think she'd like to have things to say too, but congratulations to Paige, you certainly earned it.
I just want to say thank you to Maria and Lisa and Monica. They were the 3 that submitted the nomination. I was very touched by it, very surprised. When I opened the email that I got the award, I thought they were talking about the annual one we get every year. And I was like, oh, I guess they're going to give me the button at the luncheon rather than mail it to me. So thank you, ladies. And thank you, Matthew, for your support, and mayor and council as well.
Well, congratulations. We appreciate all the hard work you put in on keeping our financial statements accurate and all of the modeling you do for us and helping us at making decisions long term. So thank you. And it's great that you were recognized for your work by others. Thanks.
Thank you.
Every time we think she can't get any better, she gets better. There's no place left to go. She rises.
Thank you.
Or just a new path. All right, this takes us to our report section. All the reports are in your packet. If you have questions about them, please direct those questions to the city manager. I don't think there are any that we need updates on specifically. Then we're going to go to the consent agenda, item 8A through H is right on item on consent that any council members wish to take on for further discussion. What's the vice mayor?
A.
All right, anything else? Is there a motion to adopt consent agenda items 8B through H?
So move.
The second,
Second.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then again, items B through H are adopted. Consent item A. Vice Mayor, if you have a question you would like to discuss.
Yes, the minutes of the meeting, June 17th, where we adopted the final budget. Says a motion was made by none and I seconded it.
You did a good job.
It's our budget, so
Probably
probably ought to get that fixed and made correct.
Thank you.
That's on page 94, and then on 98, which is the same meeting, that's June 17th meeting. Fiscal year salary range, schedule and position roster, mover, none, seconded, what's that word? Seconder?
Seconder.
Seconder. Councilmember Maynard Watson, so we probably ought to find who made that motion, stick it in there also.
So we're going to correct those and make them back.
Or approve as amended,
I'm sorry.
approve as amended, so we don't need to bring them back.
Yeah, they just made a motion. I don't know how we're gonna approve it. But we'll
Bring 'em back.
Yeah, you didn't bring it back. So item 8A we have a motion to correct the list and send it back to the next meeting.
Just the June 17 minutes, right?
Yes.
You can approve the rest of them.
Page 94 and 98 of our packet, June 17th. Special meeting, June 17th, regular meeting.
The
But
special
you
meeting.
can approve the rest of them.
So we could approve, if we wish, the July 9th special meeting.
We can approve June 3rd and then July 9th, 27th, 30th, 26th special meetings. So we need a motion to approve items on item 8A, we're going to approve items. June 3rd, 26th work study session minutes. July 9th, 27th and 30th special meeting minutes. And refer the June 17th special and regular meeting minutes back to the city clerk for corrections. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that item dealt with. That takes care of our business section. We do not need it. We do not need an executive session.
No, sir. We actually-
So the meeting is.
Mr. Mayor, we do need a short executive session.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, sir. We do need a short executive session.
you need to speak a lot more quickly.
Yes, sir, I'll try.
Maybe slower with the gavel.
That's fine for the record. Let's get out of here before 8:30. Okay, then we're gonna bring the meeting back to order, so we can declare ourselves in executive session. Motion to move under which item is executive session, A or B?
8B, or B, sir.
B, so is there a motion to go into executive session under item 10B?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Okay.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to executive session. Rigors.